Welcome back to another episode. In this episode, we'll cover how to build $100,000 a year small business. Before anything, please remember to subscribe. We're trying to get a really good audience so we can keep sharing these experiences and sharing these discussions online on a weekly basis with private investors. So you only have to subscribe to the channel. If you want to also be part of the new version of the naked and walking version of this business book, basically just make your comments about this topic. I'm gonna select the best comments of all this year to add it to the new version. This was I wouldn't tell you that you can purchase this now. However, you can go to guidedbizgrowth.com and try to purchase this from Amazon or Barnes and Noble, but it's an outdated version. I'm gonna add a lot of new strategies and new tendencies that right now with the coronavirus already that book is already outdated. So I want you to comment on this video and all of the videos, and I will be selecting the best few comments to add it to the book. Coming up, remember that. So basically, how can you take 3 steps towards your goal of $100,000 a year? That sounds really good. We have other videos on creating your business. So go ahead, and if you haven't watched those, watch it after this video, because it will give you an idea, because that's my point number 1. The step number 1 is to set up a business based on the ideas that we already gave you on this video series. You need to set up the right goal, set up the right idea, connect with your audience. So those things are included on that video, and that will be our step number 1. After you have your business built, then it's just a matter of looking at the numbers. So number 2, or the step number 2, and this will be basically the main step in terms of answering that question. Basically, the question is, how can I make a business make $100,000 a year? Maybe you're struggling right now with a smaller version of that business. Maybe it's only yourself trying to create that business. That's the first step. We all been there. We're trying to make our own business with our own name and our own hands, right? So basically, let's do the math. The first step, or the second step in this case, will be just do the math. Let's do the math really quick. So you want to make $100,000 a year. Let's put that number even smaller, so it's not as scary as it sounds. Basically, 100,000 divided between 12 months, right? Is 8,333, and then divide that number between 4, right? Almost every month has 4 weeks, although some of them have 5. So that will be 2,000 a weekly, and then divided by 7 days will be 297, basically around 200 or around $300 on a daily basis. So now that $100,000, it doesn't look that scary, right? With only a $300 on a daily basis. So you have to make $300 daily. When you do the math and you look at the numbers, then we can jump into the creative part and try to achieve the goal based on those numbers. Remember, the money is not your main goal, but it's a real situation and a real goal that you have to, I would call it a secondary goal or a financial goal. Let's call it, the financial goal. That will be the correct term. So for your financial goal, $100,000 a year, basically you have to make $300,000 a year. So in the step number 3, and then we can talk about how to apply all of these tactics. So now that you know it's just $300 per day, how much is my product worth, or how much is my service worth? That number, you have to have it. So it's I need to make $300 per day, and then um, my product or service is worth X amount of money. So one thing is the actual retail price of your product or service, and then the profit out of that service. For example, let's say it cost you $20 to get that product to the shelf and then sell that product. $20 between deliveries and the cost of the store, the amount that they are gonna earn. Um, so basically, you have to sell that product in $40 in order to make 20 out of every purchase. That number, you need to have it, because once you have it, you should be able to have on your websites what we call analytics. We can track with analytics, Google Analytics, and there are other third-party options that you can easily search online that will allow you to know exactly how much are you spending to get one sale. So you have one number in mind, $300 per day, and then after those $300, how much is your product or service? And then after that, you have to know how much per product is your real profit. And then I'm trying to put everything in very simple words so that is very easily remembered. This video is for people who are just getting started with their business and are trying to get that business and grow that business, get that business out there. And it's $100,000 is a small amount for a business, but for people who are just getting started, is a really good goal. So you have a $300 on a daily basis that you have to, that will be your daily goal, basically $2,000 per week. So here's the key. When you know how much your price or your product or service cost, how much do you sell it for, then you have to know how many no's that we call no's in sales. So how many no's, how many people will tell you no before someone will tell you, yes, I want to hire your services or I want to buy your product. So you have to kind of, if you haven't done it, you have to kind of add the analytics to your websites. And if if you're selling your product yourself, you have to kind of keep track of all your purchases and your efforts or your sales efforts. That way you will know how many no's it takes you average to get a yes. So that number is the key to success. Some of the biggest corporations don't know that number because there are so many variants, and you can get lost looking at all the numbers. But put it in simple words. Basically, normally it takes 10 no's before one yes. That's in the service industry. And when I used to work with a health insurance company, we had kind of that figured out where every 10 calls or 10 personal, it varies too. A call is not the same as a web contact. So it takes, some people say it takes 7 contacts before someone actually purchases something or hires your services. So it all depends on your business, but that's a way that you can figure it out. Number one, remember to follow the advice of creating the right business for you. And number two, do the math. Do the math. $100,000 is only $300 per day. Maybe that's difficult, but if you're just calling 10 people per day, and then out of those 10 calls, one of those calls will get you $100, then you have to multiply the calls that you do by 3 so you can get to the $100 per day. So instead of calling 100 people, you have to call 300, or just to be safe, for 500. And then you increase the number of contacts per category or per product or service. That's a huge discovery that most of the entrepreneurs and business people, uh, some people will learn in the way, some people haven't figured out, and sometimes the market varies. Right now, we are under this coronavirus that some of the most of the customer behavior basically had changed. So these are numbers that are constantly evolving, and you have to go back to the drawing board, see how the numbers look. If they change, you have to make your changes. But basically, that's the best way you can look at it. To make $100,000 is as easy as $300 per day. So $300 is not that scary, right? That's how you approach, and then you scale things up to $1 million, to $10 million, $100 million. That's how corporations grow. That's how successful entrepreneurs work. You have to start having a vision and increasing your opportunities. With online business is even easier because now it's not a matter of you sitting down with a customer or a prospect. You have different channels, and you have different opportunities with different audiences. So it's just a matter of being on the right place and keep adding content and adding ways to communicate with your target. Those are the three steps that you can take in order to be successful with $100,000 revenues and a small business. Now, remember to subscribe to the channel, and remember to leave your comments, because your comments might be on the next edition of Naked and Walking. See you at the top.